where the house Dem Deh. Hurricane. They have moved to tell us that those houses would be in the island by January. January came and gone. We heard in March that the houses would be here. It is now April. It is now April. My question to the Prime Minister and the Minister with responsibility for housing, where the house Dem Deh?
Beyond the ordinary, into the infinite, this is Conzops Media.
We have examined pre-built, containerized modular solution, and we have settled in our minds that this is appropriate for the Jamaican situation that we now have. There are different.
We would have spoken about modular homes that had been ordered.
Those homes are expected in the country by the end of February. So you'd have heard of the NHT ones and also some from
the ministry responsible for housing.
And so that those are in train and those modular units are on their way.
But we should start to see some coming in by late January.
The National Housing Trust says it is in the process of procuring the first 2,500 semi-permanent housing units.
Relief is underway for Jamaicans in the western end of the island as the National Housing Trust is rolling out a suite of measures to help hundreds of displaced residents rebuild their homes. And it's not just families getting support. The business sector is set to benefit from a major boost from the Development Bank of Jamaica. Amoy Harriet has the details.
Over 156,000 homes were damaged by Hurricane Melissa. Of that number, some 24,000 were completely destroyed. That's 24,000 families now grappling with the reality of having to rebuild their lives from the ground up. But they're being promised that rebuilding won't be as daunting. The National Housing Trust NHT says it's currently in the process of obtaining 2,500 of the first 5,000 semi-permanent housing units that will be made available to Jamaicans. The units form part of the government's rapid housing deployment initiative and will benefit a wider group of Jamaicans, not only NHT contributors. Dwayne Burbick is Assistant General Manager of Corporate Communications and Public Affairs at the NHT.
We're looking at setting up these units on lands owned by the NHT. So our construction and development team, we're currently assessing the status of lands, especially in the St. Elizabeth, Westmoreland, Hanover areas, that belt. And we're looking at where we had plans for housing development, and there may already exist some amount of supporting infrastructure for sewage, for water already, to see how quickly we can finish that infrastructure and have those units set up, and then look at other lands that the NHT has.
As for the cost,
we are currently in the procurement process, so we do not have finalized numbers as yet, and that's procurement. We are currently assessing over 40 proposals for the modular units, and we also have to do a procurement exercise for the infrastructure works as well. So the final cost to the customer will include both components, so we do not want to prejudice that exercise at this stage by releasing our estimates that we are working with. Suffice to say, if affordability is a question, the customer would be able to benefit from the NHT's grants and subsidies.
Those grants include a $500,000 disaster relief grant and a $3.5 million hurricane relief loan with an interest rate of 2% with up to 20 years to repay. Mr. Burbick says there's also a peril insurance arrangement.
We are mindful, however, that some individuals are not back to any sense of normalcy just yet. And so we have mobilized our team. We have an NHT mobile unit that is now going out into our communities, into these affected areas, and are bringing the services directly to the people who are affected.
And while homeowners are getting help to rebuild, the business sector is also being thrown a lifeline. Cabinet has signed off on a $10 billion recovery fund from the Development Bank of Jamaica, DBJ. Dr. David Lowe is Managing Director.
The funding is broken into 3 key phases, and stages of deployment. The first is a $1 billion Jamaican dollar fund available to all of the AFIs and MFIs, which are our partners in the financial sector. And they have immediate access to this $1 billion fund, which is part of DBJ's current balance sheet. The second phase, which was approved at Cabinet this week, is $3 billion, which is a further support for the engagement, which I will take you through in terms of how we'll be supporting Jamaican businesses. Thereafter, there's a further commitment of $7 billion Jamaican dollars.
The National Housing Trust says it is in the process of procuring the first 2,500 semi-permanent housing units. The solutions are being provided under the Rapid Deployment Housing Initiative to assist people whose homes were destroyed during the hurricane. Assistant General Manager for Corporate Communications and Public Affairs at the NHT, Dwayne Berbick, made the announcement on Friday. This follows an early announcement by Prime Minister Dr. Andrew Holness that the trust will procure 5,000 pre-built container homes for swift rollout across the island to address urgent housing needs following Hurricane Melissa. The NHT says it reviewed the options on the market and selected expanded prefabricated units. Meanwhile, NHT mortgagors whose homes were damaged or destroyed during the storm are urged to submit their peril insurance claim for compensation. The insurance claims must be submitted by January 15 next year.
And so I've met with the NHT and the NHT has provided us with a solution that they are presently working on. At a later stage, we'll go into more details, but the plan is for, in the initial phase, for the NHT to purchase 5,000 container homes. And some of them will be for sale with a program with the NHT. You will be able to purchase. Some of them will be used to build housing schemes, which you can purchase, and a portion of them will be made available through social housing. The government itself will also be purchasing some of these containerized housing solutions, which will be made available through the social housing modality. So effectively, we have to do a rapid deployment of housing solutions. And the easiest way to do this is to use the containerized solutions. They do take some time to arrive in Jamaica. There's just certainly not the quantity to make an impact. So we have met and discussed it. We have taken the policy decision that these can be used. And so the process of acquiring them through the procurement process, they have been given the approval to move ahead with that. So that should start in short order. You know,
Eastern Westmoreland is where working with landfall, we're still having quite a bit of challenges. The main issue of concern at this point in time, I would say, is still around shelter. We have quite a bit of our constituents who are still residing in unacceptable conditions. I went to a community by the name of Amity recently with a group that was making a donation. And one of the residents spoke to the condition in which he's living. And what he has to do is to use a tarpaulin, and the back of it, to prevent some of the wind from coming in, is actually the side of a grave. That's the reality as to how persons are still living within the constituency. The roof program, as outlined by the government, has not benefited everyone who is affected as yet. I'm still hopeful that those who remain without any level of assistance will receive the assistance in due course. And the way in which it is structured is causing quite a bit of heartache as well. Because the fact that only selected hardwares were chosen has caused some of my constituents, for example, from Betterton, who have to go all the way to Savannah Lamar to get the supplies. They have actually spent about 80 to 100,000 in transportation costs. So just imagine that you've received the 500,000 because the house is totally destroyed. But because we did not select a hardware in Betheltown or one elsewhere in Eastern Westmoreland, you have to go all the way across the parish. The transportation cost to bring the goods to where they live has caused them to be losing about 80 to 100,000 out of the sum. That could otherwise go to the building material. For persons who were told that they could use this first $75,000 to do other things, like pay school fee or buy furniture or whatever it is, those persons have had to travel to Montego Bay, to the remittance companies to try and get the funding from those remittance companies. And that, as you have seen in the media, has been nothing short of chaotic. I've had the discussions with the minister about us having at least one location in each constituency. Preferably if you could have one location for the hardware in each division, electoral division. And obviously there are several other remittance companies that are there that you could use that will prevent these persons from traveling all that way. The second issue is that of businesses. To date, we've gotten some assistance through factories for businesses in the White House. But the rest of the constituents, almost all of the small businesses were decimated. And those persons have not received any assistance at all. And that to me is also unacceptable. Because to get
6 months after Hurricane Melissa, the people of Western Westmoreland is still suffering. And how are they suffering? For those who have been called by the ministry to collect a check, majority of them are still waiting as we speak. And if you do get a call to collect a check, most of the citizens from Western Westmoreland have to travel to Montego Bay. Not in Westmoreland, but to St. James. For those that had the little shops on the corner and do a little commercial activity within a lot of our communities, they haven't gotten any assistance as yet from the government. And it is causing some hardship in the constituency of Western Westmoreland. Look, if the story should be told that 6 months after a hurricane, you'd be still waiting from your government to get a level, some kind of assistance, one. And two is that when you leave your home, I think there's no other parish now which have a garbage pile up than the parish of Westmoreland. Something has totally happened since the hurricane where we can't get the garbage in Westmoreland to be collected. So when you come out of your house, you enter the bad road. When you enter the bad road, you're running into garbage. Something has happened somewhere. And I just want to say, look, if the government chooses to neglect the parish of Westmoreland, all the tax-paying citizens of Westmoreland, I haven't received a list from government as yet in terms of who got damaged, who received checks, who's still going over Montego Bay. I haven't received any of that as yet. In terms of JPS and the constituency of Western Westmoreland, I'd probably say around 85 to 90% of our citizens have been restored with electricity thus far. We're having a problem also, I think within some schools you have school attendance on the decrease because of what is taking place with the parents. For the farmers in Western Westmoreland, I don't think there's 2,000 coconut trees leaving in Westmoreland, period. And for those that used to go on the roadside, sell a little breadfruit, sell a little coconut, just to make ends meet. You have no breadfruit tree anymore, and you don't have no coconut tree anymore. And this is leading to a level of, in certain areas, you have increase in criminal activity. I want to appeal to the government, look, you have 3 members of parliament from Westmoreland. We're willing to work with the government. We wouldn't want to come here today and have a press conference to cry out and bawl out for the people of Westmoreland. We're willing to work with the government. But 6 months and still waiting to get a check or to get your garbage pickup or to get your road fixed is unacceptable in any modern society. So I want to appeal to the Minister of Local Government, to the Prime Minister, and to just ask, how much more can the people of Westmoreland accept or take before they start taking to the streets? And, you know, we're doing a lot in terms of holding down these demonstrations, which plan every single day, you know. Because MP Vaz just spoke about what? I have had to at least basically stop at least 5 or 6 demonstrations because it doesn't do me any good and it doesn't serve the country any good. So once again, I'm asking the government, I'm appealing on behalf of the people of Western Westmoreland, the citizens. We need our garbage to be collected. It is 6 months now. We have been waiting. We need our roads to fix it. 6 months. We have been waiting. Also, I appeal to you. Make we help the people of Westmoreland get over the problems that they are now faced with. Thank you.
And I want to touch on an area that from about November of last year, the government has signaled to the country that they will be providing some 5,000 container homes to individuals who have been affected in the hurricane. Where the house them there? Poor people in Culloden need the houses. Poor people in Petersfield need the houses. Poor people in Jericho need houses. We can't allow our brothers and sisters that we talk about, say we care about them, to be living in the deplorable conditions that they are in post-Hurricane Melissa. And then we make promises to deliver 5,000 houses, and all know we can't see one of those houses being delivered to the people based on the commitment of the government of Jamaica. I'm not talking about what other institutions have done. I'm not talking about what the private sector has done. I'm talking about the specific program that the government has said that they are going to be obtaining 5,000 container homes to deliver to the people of Jamaica that have been affected by Hurricane Melissa. We need to know where the house them there.